Hello everyone, Twisted Animatronic here, and what if the answer to FNAF's biggest mystery has been hidden in plain sight all along? The prototype animatronics ain't your ordinary mystery, it's a cryptic message many people have completely missed, and in this video we'll be deciphering the hidden messages revealing exactly who these animatronics belong to, and revealing once and for all, did Afton and Fazbear Entertainment actually steal Edwin's designs? Because it's not as straightforward as you'd think, and immediately I'd like to address something here. You see, a few weeks back I did a video on the prototypes and I believed they were solved. Well, let me tell you now, they are not. I missed a key bit of information in that video and it totally changes the way we view the prototypes. You see, many theorists and people themselves actually have the connections all wrong, not to mention who they actually belong to. I'll come back to the prototypes in a minute because we need to talk about Edwin Murray and get him out of the way. You see, Edwin Murray himself didn't build the factory, he inherited it from his father. In one of the logs he actually says this:
Ed, honey, how are you holding up? I just heard the news.
I don't know. This is all so much. He's gone. He's gone, and now everyone is asking me what to do, and I don't know anything. I can't run a company. I'm not ready. I can't fill his shoes. He knew it. Everyone knew it. The company is going to collapse, and they're all going to hate me.
Ed, you'll figure it out. Just take a deep breath. It's your company now. Your dad believed in you. Otherwise, he wouldn't have left it to you.
I guess so.
If you could change anything you wanted, what would it be?
Maybe rebrand? We could start making some of my inventions for real.
You see, that all but confirms that he was Henry Jr. He inherited the factory from his father. It proves he wasn't ready for this, and in actual fact, Edwin was a terrible businessman. There's a log from Fiona again which confirms this.
You're not going to want to hear this, but there's a lot of grumbling on the work floor. You have a lot of new ideas and new projects coming in, but the staff can't keep up with all your changes. Your creative energy is amazing, and I love you for it. But I think you need to step back a little and focus on one project at a time.
If that wasn't enough, his company was sinking massively in the debts. He had outstanding loans which he hadn't paid. Numerous machines were getting returned, customers were complaining. We see on one of the computers complaints from several customers saying that they want to return their purchases. All of this starts painting a picture about Edwin himself. He's a great inventor as such, but a terrible businessman. In fact, he may even have ADHD, he's focusing on too many projects at once. And you might be thinking, well, why is this important, Twisted? All this context is essential because now we can enter Afton and Henry. You see, we know Afton was actively working for Fazbear Entertainment, and Fazbear Entertainment was one of MCM's biggest customers. I mean, we know there's a secret log hidden in one of the Mr. Helpers which basically says that the Fazbear Entertainment contract will make him loads of money and bring all his staff back. But little did he know, all his staff were being poached by William Afton. Again, this isn't confirmed in a log by Afton himself, actually promising one of the employees their own franchise restaurant. But it always bugged me, why was Afton poaching the staff from MCM? I mean, there's no mention of Henry poaching staff, just Afton, right? We also know that Edwin himself is good friends with Henry Emily. He refers to him as Hen, an affectionate nickname. So does Fiona. Fiona also refers to him as Hen, indicating they have a very established relationship. But interestingly, there's no mention or indication that Edwin himself has an established relationship with William Afton. The only thing we really have to go on is that Afton basically says he owns all the land the factory's built on, including the house, and decides to be a nice guy and says he will never take the house away from Edwin and his family. But he's awaiting his response. Even the letter/log itself was quite corporate in its effect. Now, I mean, you must be pretty evil yourself to be poaching all the staff from supposedly one of your good friends, and that's exactly what Afton did. You see, Afton wasn't a good friend of Murray. Only Henry Emily was. Now, I'll come back to Henry later. You see, Afton decides that he's going to run Edwin into the ground, which wasn't very hard. He was doing that himself anyway, because he was a poor businessman. But Afton saw an opportunity here. Why pay for the factory of the Fazbear Entertainment franchise when he can just get it for free in a contract clause? You see, there's numerous logs found throughout the factory that Edwin Murray keeps saying if we finish the Fazbear contract, we'll get paid. That tells me that Fazbear Entertainment didn't pay them a penny up front, and it probably was Afton's plan to never pay them anything anyway, and just repossess everything in the future. There is a massive spanner in the works here, and something we haven't talked about yet. That is Henry Emily, the one who seemingly has the relationship with Edwin and his wife. This leads into the creation of the prototypes and the springlock suits. You see, Henry at the very last minute orders the change from springlock suits to these new designs, which Edwin Murray himself says they're very scary looking, so doesn't want to change to them. He also signifies that the prototypes were basically complete. He says they're approaching final, so why would they change? Final basically means they're in their final form and almost complete, ready for delivery. You see, if you actually look at the prototypes, you can tell they're basically half finished. I wouldn't say they were ready to be delivered. The springlock suits, however, were definitely finalized. They basically just needed the last coat of paint and they would have been delivered. We also know that Fredbear's Family Diner was open, and that would have featured Spring Bonnie and Golden Fredbear as the original springlock suits, not the improved versions which Edwin Murray had just built. Therefore, Fazbear Entertainment already owned the rights to Fredbear and Spring Bonnie. But then what about Chica and Foxy? Well, we know Chica was owned by another company because Fiona actually did the designs for them, and there's actually an email log stating the customer/client was very happy with the designs Fiona had made for them. It was a commission. That confirms Edwin Murray was not the owner or Fazbear Entertainment at this time. And it's from this point that things get really, really shady. You see, like I said earlier, Henry Emily wasn't actively trying to bring down MCM so they could steal it, although he did put a large change in towards the designs to move away from springlocks. That might not actually be a malicious move. It might be the fact that a springlock accident actually occurred, resulting in him immediately changing away from springlocks. That would make complete sense, right? It wasn't to bring MCM down, he just ordered the change because you couldn't have another springlock failure in your company. Immediately they had to change it out. That was Henry's doing, not William's. William, on the other hand, was actively trying to bring MCM down and repossess all their assets. I mean, why pay for something if he could technically, in his mind, get it for free? I mean, we know that Stan, an employee in MCM, literally stole designs as well. He stole the designs for Mediocre Melodies, which we see come back in Freddy Fazbear's Pizza Simulator. Stan's budget tech, exactly the same as Stan from MCM, literally confirming he's leaving and poaching some of the designs. So the Mediocre Melodies were originally Fiona's and Edwin's as well, stolen. Oh, and things just get even more crazy from here on in.
Why you acting so cray-cray?
We know Roxy and Foxy, even Monty, were Fiona's designs. We see them in the shows, we see them down in the basement, and they make a comeback in Security Breach, indicating Fazbear Entertainment had somehow obtained the rights to use them, which we know they'd literally poached them out of the MCM factory. But the interesting thing here is, the toy designs, which we see in FNAF 2, were also Fiona Murray's. I know, you're probably thinking, well, how is that even possible? Well, hear me out, because this gets crazy. You see, it always bugged me that we actually saw the toys in 1983. You know, the FNAF 4 minigame where we're walking around as the crying child. Well, we actually see the toys in one of the bedrooms, which is obviously pre-1987, right? Clearly, this is 1983. So it always bugged me how the toys came first, and then it hit me. The carousel we see in the MCM factory. That is the exact same carousel we see from Fall Fest. And on this carousel, it has the original cast alongside their toy versions, even including Balloon Boy and JJ. This carousel is exactly the same carousel we see in Help Wanted 2. This would mean they were the original designs that Edwin Murray was talking about in his log. They were the original cute designs until Fazbear Entertainment in this log ordered the change to the new, more scary designs as Edwin Murray put it.
Why would they change them now? Are they pulling my leg? The new concepts are frankly creepy.
If they existed on that carousel and the carousel at Fall Fest, that means that Fiona is the one who designed them. You see, the change they actually ordered were to the original Wizards. This would make sense then how we actually see decrepit Wizards in 1987, because they were the originals, the one they ordered the change from. Because originally, Fiona created the toys, that's what they were going to use in 1983. Fazbear Entertainment ordered the change to the Unwizards at this point, hence why they look scary. They used the Unwizards in 1983. Scrapped the toys, but by the time 1987 had come around, they decided to bring back Fiona's original toy designs to use in their new restaurants in 1987 and scrap the original 1983 Wizards, which are at this point technically withered. It's confusing, but the timeline matches up perfectly. That is literally how the Wizards become withered. They were the original designs for 1983. Mind-blowing. You see, it's pretty obvious that Fazbear Entertainment bought out Chica's Party World. That's how they gained the rights to Chica, not from Edwin Murray. Edwin Murray's original designs were clearly Big Top, Jackie, Mimic, Helper, the mediocre Melodies, Dolly, and let's not forget Roxy and Monty. They were clearly his original designs, which again, they bring back later on in Security Breach. They never owned them either. But something here isn't quite lining up. The prototypes we see in the basement, they to me look like the actual classics we see in FNAF 1. If that was the case, why would he be building FNAF 1 animatronics? Who give him that order? Who give him them designs? How does all this fit together now? We've basically got everything fit together apart from these prototype classic designs. Well, for that answer, I think we have to look at Henry Emily. You see, Henry Emily has always said the classics were of his design, his making. So how could we see Henry Emily's classics down in this prototype pizzeria which Edwin Murray has built? Now, one could say that Henry Emily give Edwin Murray the designs to the classics after Fiona Murray's death, and that was the change order which was given rather than the Wizards, but that doesn't fit the theory or doesn't fit the timeline. I mean, the Wizards being the change order fits perfectly into 1983, then the toys being used, exactly like I said earlier. So Henry giving him the classics designs doesn't seem to make sense. And not only that, we also find the original Endo-01s down in the basement, which is absolutely bonkers. Now, Edwin Murray couldn't possibly make the Endo-01s, right? These Endo-01s are of Henry Emily's making? Could it be that Henry Emily was actually in the MCM factory? I know it sounds absolutely bonkers, but hear me out. We know on two separate occasions where Edwin Murray calls him Hen as a nickname, an affectionate nickname, and Fiona also does the same, calls him Hen. Again, another affectionate nickname. There's also a log in the game where they talk about having guests and friends up to the house, indicating that Henry Emily, even William Afton themselves, has been up to the house as well, like one big family. Well, potentially anyway. For Edwin and his wife, Fiona, to affectionately call Henry Emily Hen would mean they've built a relationship over years. Not just over business meetings and emails, in person, working together. And this is the big kicker for me. What if Henry Emily was actually working for MCM with Edwin Murray prior to him joining Fazbear Entertainment? Maybe Henry himself even worked with his father prior Edwin's takeover. This then explains Henry Emily's backstory perfectly. I mean, he got his robotics experience working with Edwin Murray and his father potentially, helping him with designs, costumes, robotics, and then he left to join Fazbear Entertainment and create Fredbear's Family Diner. He built that relationship up over years of working together, and then what better way to repay your old friend than commission designs and animatronics from his company? The only difference now is William Afton is involved, and he has other plans. And well, we all know how that turned out. You see, the big kicker here is the inclusion of V1 Endos in the basement. They were Henry's designs for the classics. So Henry definitely had a part in designing these somewhere in the factory. It's likely they finished the Springlock designs, which we'd obviously seen in the prototype area. They were nearing completion. They ordered the change from Springlocks to these withered designs, which Henry didn't want to do. He didn't want to change to these. He liked Fiona's designs better. He was adamant he wasn't going to change. But by the end of it, he was left with no money, nothing at all, and he had to change to something. So rather than go with William Afton's designs of the Wizards, he decided to go with his old pal's designs, what he knew, the V1 Endos and the classics. So he started building them before the complete collapse. Because be damned was he going to do William Afton's designs, the guy who took all his land, the guy who said he could keep his house as a gesture of mercy. Be damned was he going to do his designs. He'd do his old pals, Henry's, and Henry would look after him. Throughout the entirety of the game, there's no indication that Henry himself had any malicious intent towards Edwin and his family. But obviously he never finished the classics designs, so Henry then, after the takeover, finished the work, and thus Henry was the first to do and complete the classics. That explains why there's the prototypes down there before Henry'd made them. Henry just finished them off. He finished his old pal's work, and obviously he disappeared, or so we're led to believe he's disappeared. But what if he hasn't? What if there's something else going afoot here? What if he faked his own death for insurance policies and to wipe his debts? Oh, and there's far more going on there than meets the eye, believe me, and I did a video on that last week, and I highly recommend checking it out after this. It's a really good watch. And if you enjoyed this video, hit the like button, subscribe for plenty more FNAF content. There's loads of FNAF content on the channel. As always, a massive thanks to the Freddy Fazbear Pizza Gang on screen now, Laura and Rena Fox, Ritsu Arisu, Queen Bubbles, and our Twisted Fazbear CEOs, Penguin Lover 12 and Rock Nigel. Thanks guys. I'm Twisted Animatronic, and stay safe out there, superstars.